GF, 28F, said she wouldn't be with me. 27M. If I was a teacher. I'm a 27M and I'm a resident physician. My GF is a 28F and she has a mph. We were just asking each other hypotheticals, and I asked if she would still be with me even if I was a teacher, and had significantly lower earning potential than I do now. She essentially told me it would be a difficult decision for her, but she most likely would not because financial stability is very important for her. While I can kind of see her point, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Thoughts? Too long didn't read. GF said she probably wouldn't be with me if I had lower earning potential. I feel like this kind of hypothetical is generally just a pointless thing to fight about. You're not a teacher, so why even bring this up? If you are concerned that she places too much value on money, talk to her about that. If you are worried that she will leave you if you stop earning at the level you earn at now, talk to her about that. Don't focus on would you have dated me if I was a teacher. I am not prepared to say she is shallow or problematic, only that it would constitute a different set of values than I/have and would probably render us incompatible. My question is this: what prompted you to ask an open-ended question that only had one correct answer? What values do you think this clashes with? Is it possible you were looking for an area of difference to fight about versus actually having a conflict in the present? What is the fear beneath this, and are you being honest in addressing it or hoping to escalate a situation based on an uncharitable interpretation because of another reason? In your relationship up till this point, have you been happy? I think it's important to note that maybe her decision to start dating you would have been different. If you were to become a teacher now, that might be a different answer. I think it's just important to note people have lifestyle expectations going into relationships. I refused to date someone who didn't believe in living a debt-free lifestyle. It was okay if they had current debt, but they had to work towards becoming debt-free. It's okay if you feel weird about this. Express that to her and communicate with her. Maybe she will reassure you. I think it's important to think about what kind of lifestyle your GF envisioned for herself. Assuming she makes enough for herself to fund her lifestyle and hobbies even without a boyfriend. If it were me, I'd like to know that I can continue that lifestyle even with a partner. Say her partner makes significantly less, to the point where if she wants to take a few vacations a year and she could afford to pay for herself with no issues. Now with a boyfriend who can't afford it, she has to pay for his portion of the trip too if she wants to go on vacations with him. This would be the same for going out to eat. Maybe he can't afford it all the time, but she can. Dating someone who makes significantly less than you do can get very expensive, and some guys even refuse to let you pay for them. Your GF would likely have to sacrifice going to new places and doing new things because her BF can't afford it. I don't think it has so much to do with the status of employment as a teacher, maybe just more about the equality of financial freedom. My 26F boyfriend, 31M, of nearly 5 years broke my non-negotiable and complained about it for months leading up to it. Help. Hi guys. Sorry for the length. I've, 26F, been dating my boyfriend, 31M, for almost 5 years now. Our relationship has always been long distance, about a 2.5-hour drive crossing 2 state lines. We see each other every week though and talk every day. No previous serious relationship on my end and a 7-year serious relationship on his end. 3 years dead bedroom, his ex cheated. Beware, lengthy post lurks below. TW, periods, blood, consent. Issue, there isn't much, or anything, off limits for us that we enjoy, except I have one non-negotiable rule that he doesn't finish inside me. When we see each other we have sex sometimes multiple times a day. We've always been super comfortable with each other. I'm on Mirena, recent event, and due to it I stopped bleeding. I also have a disorder that causes anxiety attacks and depressive episodes, and getting pregnant now is not the right time, so the thought of it does cause me to have anxiety attacks. Without the visible monthly time, I don't want to take any chances. This is something he knows and we've talked about. He's never wanted to wear a condom because blah blah blah, you know the spiel. So I told him he had to pull out, and he always does. I've always told him no about finishing inside me. Drunk, high, sober, during an orgasm, not etc etc. He came in me last night and of course because it was Sunday had to leave to go back home. His reasoning was we were for the first time that he can recall coming together and he didn't want to ruin the orgasm for me after I told him I was coming by pulling out. He says he regrets it, wasn't trying to get one over on me but honestly wanted me to have a good time. He apologized sincerely for it but the whole thing doesn't sit well with me because in more recent events he complains about my rule all the time. One time he even said I always ruin his time, inferring his pleasure from sex has been ruined because I make him pull out. We recently had a conversation about him speaking up in our relationship in general, something he's struggled with for a while now. Sometimes he won't tell me he's mad even though I know he is. He'll get distant for a hot minute and then move on to the next thing like nothing's happened. He's getting better about it and I encourage him to speak up because that's the only way we get better as a couple. But this is not one of those times. I don't know how to better explain it to him in a way he'll actually receive. I just finished speaking to him on his lunch break and he was mad at me because at the conclusion of the conversation I told him he can't complain about this non-stop. I never said it'll be forever. Sure, if we get married and decide to have kids you'll have to, but right now we're not there yet. He claims he doesn't want kids right this moment either. His point is that if he's unhappy about something he should have the right to speak up. I tried explaining that him using my body any which way he feels he's entitled to is not something he gets to complain about because if it's non-negotiable for me it feels manipulative and makes me feel bad. I guess I don't know where he gets off thinking this is something he can constantly bring up and have us be okay. He thinks I'm not listening to him and that I'm wrong because he should be able to voice his thoughts freely. But when does it end? I'm willing to move past this one time because I believe him but I can't move past the complaints. Is there something I'm missing? What can I do? I feel like it's more than just the sex maybe. It has to be because to break up over this is, for a high key lack of a better word, stupid. Too long didn't read. How do I explain to my boyfriend that certain things you can complain about and we can work through /on and other things like consensual sex and my body, him not being about to finish inside me because I don't want it, is not? The way he was so upset that I didn't want him voicing his opinions non-stop, multiple times per week, makes me feel like it's a deal breaker for him but I find the whole thing ridiculous. Why can't he just let this one thing go? Since it's Reddit, if you're just going to be mean please just don't. Choosing to be respectful costs absolutely nothing, so does not commenting. Thank you, grimacing face. Edit. Thank you to everyone who has posted so far. A lot of questions about my birth control. I have a hormonal IUD, over 99% effective, placed in perfectly while on my period, effective very moment it was put in and good for 5 years, and my BF knows about it and how it works etc. Though I have a great one I still worry about pregnancy. Yes, with the IUD it can result in an ectopic pregnancy, a mess of complications, and even death. I know it's rare and thus irrational, that's what having a mood disorder can do, and I acknowledge that, it's something I'm working on. I also can't really work on this specifically when a hypothetical repeated stressor happens in a space I think is safe. Until then I'd like him to not finish inside me. I guess it hurts also because if he can't work with me on this, what can he work with me on? I'm not perfect and he knows my idiosyncrasies and this is gonna take time. I just need him to hold off until then and maybe he can't so he's verbalizing more than usual. To break up over this is, for a high key lack of a better word, stupid. But being important enough for the thing to be break up worth is pretty much what non-negotiable means, though, right? Why do you call this a non-negotiable, and then ask for ways to negotiate about this after the fact, after he did this against you consent after you've repeatedly told him you don't consent to it? He violated your consent. That's not a stupid reason to break up. It is a good reason to never see him again. People who violate your consent are not safe to be around. To top it off, he's being all gaslighty and trying to convince you that violating your consent was something he did for your pleasure. The way you show him that this is a non-negotiable is by not negotiating. When someone violates your deal breaker, the deal, your relationship, is by definition broken. It's over. How do I explain to my boyfriend that certain things you can complain about and we can work through /on, and other things like consensual sex and my body, X. Him not being about to finish inside me because I don't want it, is not. His complaining about it non-stop is sexual coercion. He's banking on the fact that if he keeps at you like a 2-year-old that wants candy in a grocery store, you will get sick of hearing it and cave. He understands what you are saying. He's not stupid. He just doesn't care, and he's browbeating you about it, hopefully into submission. He's trying to get his way. The more you entertain this conversation, the more that conversation will continue. Even just answering him about this is encouraging it to continue. You are negotiating over what you call a non-negotiable. Which is it? Stop engaging in this conversation. If he brings it up, walk away, leave, put headphones on. Stop answering. Better yet, just dump him. He's already pushed this past what you would have called acceptable. Letting this time go means he's gonna do it again. He'll have some other excuse at the ready next time. If you don't break up with him, you are telling him your non-negotiable is, in fact, negotiable. When someone complains about a simple boundary regarding sex, do not fuck them. This guy doesn't respect you and has proven it to you over and over and over. Stop fucking him at all, ever. Why is it stupid to break up with someone who doesn't respect you? What are you getting from this relationship that you can't get from someone who listens to you and takes you seriously and respects your boundaries? My family is telling me to let my boyfriend go while he is in the mental hospital. Monday, October 19th, my boyfriend, M19, dropped, F18, me off to school in NYC, and he wasn't seen from again. Wednesday night he's found in New Jersey, and I knew he had mental health issues, but I didn't think they were that bad. Bad enough to have him run off and go to a whole different state. Anyways, during this whole time the police did absolutely nothing, and we worked our asses off finding him. Now that we found him, my mom is questioning what him and I are at this point. All I care about is him getting the help that he needs, and his overall mental health. I don't think that it's right that my mother is trying to make me choose to stay or leave, especially during this fragile time. She's saying that I'm young, and that I shouldn't waste time on him. I want to be there for him as much as I possibly can, and if he needs me I want to be there. What should I do? We've been together for almost a year. Too long didn't read. My boyfriend is in a mental hospital. My mom wants me to stop dealing with him. I'm not sure what to do. He needs to be healthy in order to be in a healthy relationship. You are not his keeper. I think you're right that right now is not the time to figure out what's going on in your relationship. But if I were your mother, I would be concerned too. I'm sure this has really been stressful for you. How are you coping with the stress? Have you been able to focus on your schoolwork? Remember that there is a line between being part of a support system and being a caretaker. For me, that line is when you start making sacrifices for their well-being. Your mom seems like she's looking out for your well-being. Are you looking out for your well-being? When I was actually your exact age, I was in love and dating a guy who was very mentally unstable, and I put in every effort I could to be there for him, and help in any way possible. It was extremely stressful and heart-wrenching for me, as I really wanted for him to get better, but he kept struggling mentally. He kept doing things like not talking to me for a while, or pushing me away, to then telling me that he didn't know what he would do without me. I started to constantly be anxious that he would hurt himself, and fell into a really bad depression. My grades plummeted and so did my social life, but I just wanted to be there for him. He ended up attempting suicide and being put in a mental hospital, and I wasn't able to see him for a long time. We ended up breaking up because of it. And over the next year I ended up attempting suicide, and it took me a long time of therapy and medicine to recover mentally. Point being, you are in a time in your life where you are doing critical mental growth, figuring out who you are, and even just on a biological level. You do not have the ability to deal with his mental health, just like he doesn't. He needs professional help and support to get better, not a girlfriend. He needs to be focusing on himself and has no time or mental energy to be dealing with a relationship. Understand more the most exactly how you feel. Take advice for someone who did stick around because they couldn't bear to leave him. It did not help him get any better even if he felt like he needed me, and it literally almost killed me and took 2 years of my youth away from me. It is not selfish for you to leave him, it will be beneficial for both you and him.